And first.
Bye, Grace.
Keep it like that.
No, surprise. Don't blur. There she is. All right, guys. We do have some people in the room here for my guys on Zoom back home. We'll go ahead with questions in the room for Grace Berger and Mackenzie Holmes.
For Grace, obviously first game back, it's gotta feel great, but especially given the stretch you guys have coming up. I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but you know, 3 ranked teams and a team in Illinois that's been so good this year coming up in the next 5 games. How important was it for you to get this first one under you as you move forward into the needed Big Ten one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to have, not only me back, but KB back as well. Just because the Big Ten is so tough every single game. Is a competitive game. I mean, we've seen so many upsets already this year. So just the depth, I think, is something that's going to separate us down the road, especially when we have, those tough games back to back to back to back, and traveling in between it and whatnot. So I think just the depth part, and hopefully, we'll be at full strength for that tough stretch.
Have any other questions in the room? All right, we'll go ahead with questions on Zoom. So if you guys want to go raise your hand, we'll start with Matt Seabury.
Yeah, Grace, I guess just in general, how did it feel to be back out there after missing 8 games, most of 9 games with an injury?
It felt really great, almost like surreal, just because it feels like it's been forever since I played a game. But so I was, definitely a little bit nervous. I think really anxious at first, but truthfully, just really excited, and I feel just really fortunate that I had the chance to get back out there with a good bit of the season left.
Wilson.
Grace, I'm just wondering, what have these past 2 months been like for you? What have you been, how have you been working through that injury? And at what point before this game did you know you were going to be able to go today?
I mean, we initially had kind of a timeline, I think, when I first got injured and we found out kind of what was going on. So I knew I'd be back around this time. And so, it was easy to just be positive and work hard every day on myself, because I knew I was going to be back at some point. But I think while I was out for that month and a half or 6 weeks or whatever it was great to see some of the younger kids get opportunity and see what I see every day in practice kind of show out in games, and just see them get that confidence, because I think now that I'm back, now that Kandra's back, it'll really help us down the road to have those kids just be really confident, really good.
Ari.
Grace, how proud of the team are you that they stuck together and won all but 1 game without you? Obviously, you've built a culture with Mac and picking up a lot of the slack. What did it say about your culture that the team was able to survive you being out for 6 weeks and now you're armed and ready to go for a run at the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, really worried. I think, obviously maybe, it hurt our depth to not have me out there, but we still have really good team or really good players on our team. We still have one of the best players in the country like Mac. and really good pieces around her. And I think, I've been able to see in practice what maybe we couldn't see early on in games, the younger kids and how good they are, how much they can bring to the table. So I knew that they would step up. So truthfully, I wasn't really worried about it.
Matt Seabury.
Yeah, Mackenzie, teams past few games, when Grace has been out, have been really changing their defense to really center around you and doubling you and whatnot. What does Grace's return do for you in terms of, obviously you got a double today, but how does her coming back help take the pressure off of you?
I mean, having Grace back helps in all aspects of the game, offensively, defensively, as a leader. We all know what Grace means to us as an all-around player. So it's just great to have her back and playing alongside her.
Wilson.
Grace, just right now, having come back for a game, having played a game, how does the knee feel right now? And did you feel that there was any rust at all, anything you needed to shake off?
No, I feel great out there. I was confident that the doctors and our athletic trainer wouldn't put me back out there if I wasn't, good to go. So in practice this past week and in the game, I pretty much felt like my old self.
Do we have any other questions for Mackenzie or Grace? All right. Thanks, ladies. Thank you. All right, Indiana head coach Terri Moren, I'll make an opening statement and then take questions.
Well, road wins are always are never easy, and on a day like today where we did not shoot the ball extremely well from beyond the arc, which is uncharacteristic of our team. We still made enough plays and found ways to win. Certainly helped that Mackenzie was so good today. Can I get some water? Sorry, guys. I got a frog in my throat. But I thought Mackenzie was really good to get us going. And then, it's such a great blessing to have Grace Berger back in the lineup. She just makes everybody else around her better. We did get into some early foul trouble, which was a little frustrating because I thought, from the onset, I thought we were rolling, and then picked up some, Sid got into foul trouble, and I thought it messed up our rhythm a little bit offensively, but I'm proud of the way we shot the free throw from the free throw line today. That's always a good thing. Our assists were down. Everything was a little bit down except for our rebounds. But sometimes you just have to grind it out and find ways to win. Our defense, I thought, held us, got us to did what it needed to do, and it was keep Northwestern at bay. So proud of our group because, like I said, we have been on the road. In the Big Ten at Michigan State, didn't handle ourselves in the right kind of way. And I thought today we did that, like I said, on a day that we didn't shoot it particularly right.
Coach, over the course of your career, you've had so many tough battles with Northwestern, just building it in your own. It felt like this one was a little bit of a reprieve from that for you guys. Did it feel good not having to play against Veronica Merton?
Well, we have so many great players in the Big, and she was certainly one of them. But here's what I do know about Joe. Joe's a Hall of Famer. He's a great strategist. And, when you're on the road and you're playing against a Joe McEwen team, you better be, you better be on point. You better be ready because he's going to mix it up. He's going to make adjustments because he's a great coach and in this great league that we play in. But I wish Veronica, and I know she's doing great. She's killing it in the WNBA, but to not have to play against her today was quite nice.
Coach, you're just a couple wins away from becoming Hoosiers all-time leader in career coaching wins. I'm just wondering, your team's playing really well right now. Again, Grace is back. Just kind of looking back at what you've built over the last few years. How does the team compare, and what does it mean to you to be approaching that, benchmark?
Well, this team is, and all of them are different. And I love every team that we've had here. And then we've managed to have some success with. I love them all differently, right? But still the same. This is a team that we've put together, and I do think that out of a lot of our I should say all of our the other teams that we've had, I think this team has the most potential in terms of their scoring power. We have more pieces out there that can shoot it, much better beyond the arc than just one or two that we've had in the past. Now we're putting all five of our kids, all five of our starters can clearly step out and hit threes, which is a great luxury to have. This team I think is by far what we've put together the team that has the most potential in terms of their firepower offensively when we can get going. What has held us has been our defense. We've always said, when we first got to Bloomington, that we were going to hang our hat on the defensive side of the ball. And when teams faced us, they were going to face a stingy, defensive, gritty team. And that's what our identity is, right? And that's what we wanted our identity to be always. And I know you got to score the ball, and I know people love to see, great offense. I like to run great offense, but, we're always going to go back to who we are. And that's, hopefully a really good defensive team as well. Again, as far as the benchmark, I don't, it only means that, again, I said this the other day, that I'm getting old. Our time here in Indiana has been great, as far as what we've been able to do. But it's a combination of having a great staff and certainly great players that come through here, because at the end of the day, I don't make any of those plays, right? I don't make any of the shots or assists. I just get the pleasure of trying to help them any way I can. And so, we'll see as we go through, we go through, and there's a lot of basketball still ahead of us. We got a great Maryland team coming in to Bloomington on Thursday, I think. So, we've got to enjoy this one for the 24 hours and then get back to Bloomington and start prepping for a really good Maryland team.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It's obvious Grace's impact on the court, a few assists.
Right.
Quick. But I'm curious, what does it mean for this team, kind of vibe and the way things are gelling as a whole, to have her back in the mix as a leader?
Yeah. To think that, again, she's only been in practice for a week, and, not that she looks like the Grace we're used to seeing, but she looks dang near close to it. And I think it gives everybody a shot in the arm, including our staff. But what I'll say is Grace is a fantastic player who's going to be a pro. And the thing that sets her apart is she makes everybody around her better, and there's a lot of great players that can go score. But there's not a lot of players like Grace that can score and facilitate, put pressure on the defense, and then sprint to the other end and want to guard the way she wants to guard. And yeah, it was great to, see her out there today. I got a little emotional watching her, the fans that we did have that came from, all around, just, I can only imagine what it's going to be like on Thursday night when she's introduced as a starter. So we're certainly happy she's back.
All right, we'll go ahead with questions on Zoom. If you guys want to go ahead and raise your hands for questions for Coach Moren. Wilson, go ahead first.
Terry, I know you were expecting Northwestern to come out in the press, and they did. But how does having Grace out there? I know you've talked about what a steady hand she is. How does having Grace out there help playing offense against that press?
Yeah, you feel a lot better, right? That you have another extraordinary ball handler out there, and a vet that understands pace and time and score and all of it. And so it's great to have her back.
Matt Seabury.
Hey, Terry. Obviously, with Grace out, Chloe Moore McNeil and Yarden served as the primary ball handlers. With Grace back, how do you expect to kind of divvy up that primary ball handling responsibility moving forward?
I think it's, for us, it's by committee. We want to play fast. It makes no difference for us which guard has the ball and throws that thing ahead or hits that thing ahead and comes off a drag screen. The only time that it's going to be or will matter was when we're running some of our sets. There's certain sets that I like to run for Grace when she's off the ball. Same thing for Yarden. And so the great thing is that, we can scoot Chloe over because now she knows, what it's like to be that point guard. We can use her in that way, which has not been the case. We were waiting for Lexi Bargerser to come along, and she's done a great job. And so now we do feel like we have another point guard in Lexi when she comes in. But I think it'll be by committee. It just depends on what it calls for. If we want to run a certain set, for Yarden, we'll make sure that we have those pieces in place. But that's what's kind of fun about having, guards out there that can play multiple positions and give you different looks.
Ari.
Coach, to begin the year, you started Scalia and had Parrish coming off the bench. Today it was Scalia coming off the bench and Parrish starting with Grace back. How did you make that determination, and how are you going to decide which of the five start moving forward?
Well, again, I think it's all fluid for sure, but I think it's based on what Sid has done, inside of all of our games. Performance matters, statistics. We looked at everything. It's not as I said when we started off, guys, if you remember, we could start 6 kids. There's 6 starters, and I can still consider Sarah a starter. She played the most minutes or second most minutes today on our team. And so, I know everybody gets wrapped up in starting and who's starting and so forth. But, if you look at the minutes today, she was third, I guess. She was right behind Mackenzie in minutes played. So, I think we just went off of gut, how Sydney's been performing for us. She's been consistent. And so that's, we just gave her the nod, but, as we move forward, it could change. But they're all going to play a lot of minutes. And that's what the great thing is about having Grace back, is that, the Yardens and the Chloes and Scalias don't have to, play 38 minutes, a night for us. And so that'll bode well as we move forward.
Matt Seabury.
Just with, obviously it didn't really affect tonight, but is Grace Berger on a minutes restriction? Will she be moving forward for the next few games as she comes back?
Yeah, no, she was on 0, none of that. No restrictions. It was really by feel. We didn't just watching her, and I think she would probably tell you that she'd rather stay on the floor because she does get a little tight when she comes off. But we're not going to allow her to make that decision. We're going to protect Grace because she's such a great competitor. But no restrictions as we move forward. She's going to play and be out there. But like I said, I think we'll figure out another, not another, but a rotation that we like, where they're getting less minutes and hopefully being more effective.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.